When Gina was a young child, only 9 years old, she was living with her family in a small village in Nepal when she was stolen. Drugged with a sweet drink by a friend, Gina awoke on a train never to see her family again. When Gina arrived in Bombay after a 3-day journey, she remembers being grabbed by the hand, brushed down a crowded street through a sea of legs, and brought to a dingy brothel. They put makeup on her face, and then the seasoning process began. She was repeatedly raped, beaten, and starved until she was too afraid to leave her new home. Because of Gina's young age, she was held out by her owners as a virgin again and again. Sexual encounters counted as many as 40 per day. Recently, Shared Hope International helped pay Gina's debt and brought her into one of their newly opened homes of hope. There, she is getting the physical and emotional care she needs to start a new life. So, I want to talk to you guys today about human trafficking and why you need to take action to help stop it. Okay, so essentially human trafficking is modern-day slavery. It's the second largest and fastest growing criminal industry in the world, according to the Polaris Project website. The definition of trafficking as defined by the U.S. government is sex trafficking in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such an act is under 18, or the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, for the purpose of subjecting that person to involuntary servitude, peonage, debt, bondage, or slavery. Trafficking doesn't require movement across borders, physical abuse or restraint. It can just be psychological, and it's not necessarily smuggling or forced movement. So anybody can be affected by trafficking. It's regardless of age, wealth, sex, nationality, and education. Traffickers can be pimps, brothel owners, people with servants in their homes, small businesses, and criminal networks. And trafficking is kept in existence because it's market-driven and based on principles of supply and demand. And there's a very low risk for traffickers because some governments don't have very high penalties, and there's a high profit. Now that you understand what trafficking is, I want to go over the reasons to take action to fight against it. First reason is that trafficking is a human rights violation. It denies fellow human beings the right to freedom, which is one of the most inalienable rights. And for a country like ours, how can we turn, a country with a history like ours, how can we turn a blind eye on this form of modern slavery? Second reason is that everyone is a potential victim of trafficking because, as I discussed, it crosses all backgrounds. And it's possible for someone you know to be affected by this. According to 2007 Trafficking in Human Persons report, estimations of the number of people affected by human trafficking are 4 to 27 million people. And it's such a large range because it's so hard to determine who's being trafficked since a lot of it's underground. And the third reason is that it can be stopped through education. Since human trafficking survives on people utilizing the industry, it's important to teach people about the effects. And if you can teach people how it's wrong, they'll be more inclined to not support businesses that use forced labor. So the ways to get involved that I'm urging you to do are you can support the National Human Trafficking Resource Center, and on their website they list some of the ways as getting educated, spreading the word, keeping your eyes open to trafficking, publishing the NHTRC hotline, which is a phone number to report trafficking, and donating. You can also encourage your legislators to push through anti-human trafficking legislation. And ProjectPolaris.org has a page for local legislation that's in the works. And I just want to close with a quote by Inspector General Joseph E. Schmitz from the Department of Defense. For those of us who are in a position to do something, to combat human slavery, however small our contribution, neutrality is a sin. So I just urge you guys to take the information that I've given you about human trafficking and the ways that I've given you to get involved and go out and try to stop this modern injustice.